You're watching MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23, a free educational service provided by Circle City Broadcasting of Indianapolis. Here's what's coming up this hour. Get more information, special announcements, and weekly program schedules online at wishtv.com. And be sure to follow us on Facebook. Here's what's coming up next.
Good morning, boys and girls. My name is Mr. Ball. I am the principal at Lew Wallace School 107 over on the west side. I hope you're doing well and staying safe. I'm here today to talk to you about a math lesson, and I'd like to open with a bit of a corny joke. I wouldn't be a good principal or dad if I didn't have a corny joke for you. So take a look over here. Why did the equal sign stay so humble? Because he knew he wasn't greater than or less than anybody else. I told you it was corny. I gave you the heads up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to begin with applying properties for powers with the same base under understanding integer exponents. So it might seem a little bit like a big topic, but we're going to go over these 4 things today, and this is what you need to be on in your packet. So you're going to open to page 3 through 9 in your packet. We're going to go over same base, same exponent, negative exponents, and integer exponents. And so these are your packets. We're going to give you just a second to go get your packets, make sure your pencil's sharpened, and you're ready to go. I'm going to do a few sample problems with you. One other resource I want to guide you to is the Khan Academy. I know you're very familiar with this resource. Some of you probably use it in class, but khanacademy.org has lots of great follow-up videos, resources, formulas, and exponent variables and rules that you might need to know to do this. I'll be really honest, it's been about 30 years since Mr. Ball actually worked with exponents. So I did a lot of work in preparation for this lesson, and I did find that these were very helpful. You can either print them off at home or you can get them on the website. Exponent Rules takes you right back through all the rules and will help you remember in case you've forgotten some of these exponent rules, because you're going to need that background information to get you into the lesson today. All right, our very first problem comes from your packet. You can see I've got my packet here, and in our packet I've highlighted a few problems for you. It should look just like yours. I'm going to do problems 1, 4, and 10 for you as an exemplar lesson today. Again, it's right here. Same base is the title at the top of the page, and we are on page 3. Okay, so let's take a look at our exponents here. Our exponents. Now, you may not remember what to do with a problem like this. However, let's think about what it's telling you. The problem is telling you that I need to take 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6, right? So 4 times I need to multiply the number 6. 6 times 6 is 36, times 6 times 6, and that's going to give us the answer for this portion. This section of the math problem is actually telling us to do the exact same thing. So really what we have here is the number 6 times 8. So let's look at that. This is also equal to, we just move our exponents over, and we have 4 plus 4, and you guys know the answer to that very easily, which is 8. So if I move that down here, this problem is really saying 6 to the 8th power. And again, in case you just want to get fresh to this lesson and remember what it means, it essentially means this. 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. I know I am going to write them all out, so here we go. 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. That is essentially what 6 to the 8th power means. This is the type of work that we're going to be doing on page 3 today. So I'm going to give you 2 more examples to help you understand what we're working on. Number 4. number 4 in your packet. And if you notice, I'm just going to bring this back here so I can see it. The packet writes out 3 times 3, and it does that 4 times. And then it does 3 to the second power. If you remember in the example that I just gave you, it's really multiplying the number 3 over a course of period of time. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then remember squared just means 2 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So all I have to do is say that that is actually equal to 3 to the power of 6. And it's the same thing as if I wrote them out. You don't even have to solve on this page. All it's asking you to do is to rewrite the expression as a single power. So it doesn't want you to have these kind of to the 1 power here. It wants you to have all of them written as 1. So that's what your packet's asking you to do, is just simply simplify these numbers so that you know what to do. Let's go into number 10. Number 10 in your packet looks like this. Whew. Mr. Ball's eyes are getting old. That is small. All right, 8 to the x and 8 to the 5th and 8 to the 7th. How do we tackle this one? Well, the first thing you got to do is you got to get rid of the denominator. And so the way you can do that in a fraction problem is to multiply both sides by 8 to the 5th. So we're going to start off with 8 to the 5th. And then we got to bring it over here times 8 to the 5th, because something you did on one side has to be done on the other side of the problem. And once we do that, we end up with 8x equals, and then remember, this is just like the problem with the 3's I showed you. This is saying 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 7 times, and 8 times 8 times 8 5 times. So all we have to do is add the 7 and the 5 together. So we know that 8x is equal to 812, because 7 plus 5 equals 12. So what does that mean x is? They're equal, right? Both sides have to be equal. So x in this case is equal to 12. Okay? Pretty simple. You've got 2 more that you can try on your own with number 11 and 12. All right, I'm going to take you through the next page. So go ahead and flip the page. We're going to move on to page 4. Page 4 in your packet deals with the same exponent. So what do we do with the same exponent? So on page 4, I have a problem number 1. I'm going to start off with a sample for you. And on number 1, you have 9 to the 4th power, or to the power of 4, and 10 to the power of 4, and they're multiplied together. So what do we do in that sense, and what is the rule? It's 9 to the power of 4 times 10 to the power of 4. What do we do? Well, the base number is not the same, but it's still going to be multiplied by the same. And if you did 9 to the power of 4 and you solved, and you did 10 to the power of 4 and you solved, and then you multiplied those two together, you're going to get the exact same answer as if you did this. 9 times 10 to the power of 4. And we know that this can be solved very easily. 9 times 10 is 90. So we've got 90 to the power of 4. And that's how we would simplify this, because we had the same exponent. So we put that exponent on the outside of the parentheses. We take these two numbers to multiply together. We get 90 to the power of 4. All right. Let's move on. Okay, you have problem number 4. This is the next one I would like to show you. Number 4 says 6 to the power of 2 over 2 to the power of 2. Now, in this particular case, it's just like the last example. Both are to the power of 2. Remember, the name of this worksheet is same exponents. So we're dealing with things that have the same exponent. So again, just like I showed you before, this is equal to 6 halves, or 6 over 2, to the power of 2. But we could keep simplifying this because we know that 2 goes into 6 3 times, and that would be 3 over 1 if we did the same thing on both sides. And so we end up with 3 to the power of 2. And just in case you need to see that step visually, let me show you. That would simplify down into 3 over 1. 3 over 1 equals 3. That's how I came up with my number 3 right there, in case you weren't following along or you just missed how I got that 3. So you have 6 over 2 with each to the power. You move that to 6 over 2, parentheses, the power of 2, reduces to 3. You end up with 3 to the power of 2. Okay? Hope you're staying with me. And again, I would remind you, if you're confused on the properties of the exponents, because that's really background knowledge you need to have to do this. If you're confused on the exponent properties, check out khanacademy.org. Do a quick refresher. They have 4-minute videos. You could watch them by yourself, and it'll really remind you of the rules of the exponents. All right, the next one, it's number 7, still on page 4. And it's going to ask us to rewrite each expression as a product of 2 powers or quotient of 2 powers. So this one's going to look complicated, but we're going to simplify it and bring it down for you. So we have 5 to the power of 5, 16 to the power of 2, 5 to the power of 3, and all of that to the power of 3. Seem complicated? It did to me a little bit, but just remember what it's telling you to do. I see commonalities. Parentheses means multiply, right? The power means multiply. Both of those things mean the same thing. It's about understanding what it means to have a power of something or an exponent. And so here we have 5 times. Here we have 5 8 times. Or excuse me, 3 times, right here, 3 times. And so what we can do is we can look at our different numbers and we can start with this. And so I wrote something, oh, I did not. Let me put that up here for you. In case you need this, remember this. Hopefully you guys have heard that expression before. If you have not, we're talking about the parentheses, the exponents, the multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction, right? So the order of operations, if you will. Okay, so in this particular example, the way that we're going to get to our solution first is we're going to deal with this little exponent right out here and the parentheses. So we're going to solve what's in parentheses first, but we can't do what's in parentheses until we take care of this exponent. So this exponent right here has to go into these other exponents the way they can. And it just says multiply, right? This is simple, multiply. So we're going to take this and we're going to change our number into 5 to the power of 5. 16 to the power of 2 times 3 is, right, 6, times 5 to the power of, now we've got 3 times 3, so what do we have there? Right, 9. So now we've gotten rid of this one. We've made it to here. We have 5 to the power of 5, 5 to the power of 9. We know that we can add those together, so I'm going to do a little simple equation like this, and that's going to leave us with this number, 16 to the power of 6 times 5 to the power of 5 plus 9. Because remember, I've got to take the 5 and the 9 together, and I know that that equals 14. Right? And so what that's going to be as a simplified solution for me is 16 to the power of 6 times 5 to the power of 14. Okay? And that's how we get our expression and to 2 powers and quotients of 2 powers. So we took all these numbers and we brought it all the way down here. This is what you'd put on the line. Okay? All right. We're going to go to our next page on today's lesson, which is page 5. So I'm going to erase this. You go ahead and turn the page. We're going to do problems 1 and 5 if you want to star those problems. Okay. All right. Number 1 on page 5. Okay? Number 1 on page 5, and the topic of this page is applying properties of negative exponents. Applying properties of negative exponents. The instructions say, rewrite each expression using only positive exponents. The answers are mixed up at the bottom of the page. Cross out the answers as you complete the problems. All right, well, we got it. So if you notice right here at the bottom of the page, you actually have the answer. So if you're looking and you don't see what you wrote down, it means you didn't get it right. So all the answers are right here at the bottom of the page. All right, number 1 says 7 to the power of 3 times 16 to the power of negative 9. And it's asking us to use only positive exponents. So I have a negative 9 up here. Now, if you remember what an exponent does, this will help you remember the rules of positive and negative exponents. So let's take just a moment to think about what it does. Let's take something simple like 2. 2 to the power of 3. It means 2 times 2 times 2. So that's 6. But what if I said 2 to the power of negative 3? It's going to move backwards on the number line or become a negative number. And in this case, negative numbers, if this is 0 and this is 1, 2, 3, and positive numbers going this way, when we go backwards, we start getting into decimal numbers, right? And we start getting into this type of place value. Decimal numbers can also be written as fractions, so 1/10, 1/100th, 1/1000th. So when we start dealing with negative exponents, we're talking about a fraction and flipping the number upside down. Okay, so just a quick review for you. Again, if you need any help or you don't understand the rules and responsibility, you can go to khanacademy.org and they'll walk you through these instructions step by step. So what does this look like in fraction form? Because I already know that I have a negative 9 exponent. So in a fraction form, for simplicity, I have 7 to the 3rd power over 1. We'd all agree that that's equal, correct? It's the same thing as what's up there. Times, and in this particular case, we want to do the fractional part like I just showed you. So 1 is going to be on the top, but on the bottom, it's going to be 16 to the power of 9. So what did I do in this particular example? I just simply got rid of the negative exponent. I made it into a positive because I did the inverse number. I simply flipped it. I went from going to a whole number to representing it more as what it really is. 16 to the negative 9 is a very small number. It's 1/16 to the 9th power. That's the same thing. Now that we have our fraction there, we can pretty easily do our math. And so what this solves into is just simply 7 to the power of 3 and 16 to the power of 9. And I just really quickly solved across the line. Okay? With me so far? All right. I know you can't pause the live TV, but you can go back to the Khan Academy and do it. And you can look at my sample here. So I'm hoping that you're writing these down on the paper so that you can at least look and see where that's at. And I double checked my work. I went down to the bottom, and sure enough, it was right there. So I did get it right. My answer was on the page. And yes, I checked my work too, because I'm just like you. You need to go back and check your work. Okay, here we go. Page 5 still, and I'm on number 5. Number 5. All right. This one has a negative exponent, and remember, the whole purpose of this page is to get rid of negative exponents. So I have 8 times 21 to the power of negative 4. Okay? Remember what I said to do? It's super easy to remember. When you have a negative exponent, just make it that fraction, put the 1 on top, put the number on the bottom with the inverse of itself. So in this case, we're not asked to solve this problem. We're just supposed to get rid of the negative exponent. That's all we have to do. So I don't have to worry about 8 times 21 or any of that. I literally am going to get rid of the negative 4 by simply putting a 1 on top, and then 8 times 21 to the power of 4 on the bottom. And if we were to solve this and write out the numbers, you would see that this is equal to this. Both numbers would become exactly the same. So all we're doing to get rid of the negative exponent is simply putting the number on the bottom, putting the 1 on the top as the fraction. That's how you can solve the rest of the problems on this page. There are 12 problems for you to work through. I've done 2 of them for you. Your teachers have office hours, so if you're like, I don't get this, Mr. Ball didn't explain this well to me, I'm just confused on this, reach out to your teacher. They have 2 office hours every single day that you can participate in the home learning. We hope you're all well. We hope you're safe. Take care of your family first and foremost. Keep your learning up. Remember to show excellence in your attitude, actions, and achievement. Have a great day.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
All right, well, I'm here today to talk with you about our learning objective, understanding scientific notation. And we're going to go over 3 parts of this today. We're going to talk about writing numbers in scientific notation. I just abbreviated here so that's not, that's notation. And we're going to talk about adding and subtracting with scientific notation. And then we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing with scientific notation. So, first thing that I'd like you to do is open your packet, take out a pencil, and let's get started on page 7. So, number 1 on page 7 simply says, write each number in a scientific notation. So the number is 8. A scientific notation has a couple of rules. Math has a lot of rules. Have you noticed that already? The rules are this. It has to be greater than 1, but less than 10. Scientific notation has to be greater than 1 and less than 10. Okay, so that's important. And you'll be using a lot of this, times 10. And then you'll be doing some powers. If you remember our lessons from previous, we were talking about exponents. This is where the exponents will be coming in because it'll be some number between 1 and 10 times 10 to the power of something, whether it's a negative number or a positive number, I'm going to show you. So we can just say 8, right? Technically, it's a number between 1 and 10, but it does have to include a times 10. So let me show you how we're going to do it with a single digit. We are simply going to write it like this. This is your introduction to scientific notation. 8 times 10 to the power of what? Remember what times 10 to the power of something does? It adds zeros. I don't need to add any zeros. I'm in perfect place, right? I'm 8. That's all it is. I need to rewrite this. So all I have to do is put to the power of what? Power of 0. Isn't that simple? It essentially is saying this doesn't exist, but I needed to write it in scientific notation, and this is the way we write it in scientific notation. So 8 is the same thing in scientific notation as, so I'll put this equals, 8 times 10 to the power of 0. We're going to do one that doesn't include a power of 0, and you'll start to understand this a little bit more. In your packet, you have problem number 4. Problem number 4. Problem number 4 is set up as 229. So, what do I have to do to make this into a number that is between 1 and 10, has some kind of times 10 to the power of something, and does not, and has a decimal? So, I need to find out where 1 and 10 falls on this particular number. This is the hundreds place, the tens, and the ones. I need my ones place to be right there, don't I? So 2.29. Is that a number between 1 and 10? If I'm thinking about my number scale, it absolutely is. 1 would be right here, 10 would be right here. 2.29 or 2 and 29 hundredths is between 1 and 10. Now, I moved my decimal place. So watch this. This is really simple. Times 10 to the power of what? To the power of what? Remember, every time I multiply something times 10, I move the decimal. So if I come back here and I say, what does it take to get back to this number, to get back to 229? It takes how many jumps? If I put the decimal over here, I would have 229. How many jumps was that? That was 2 jumps. So my exponent becomes 2. Because if I multiplied 2.29 times 10 times 10, I would have gotten 229. So find number 7. Here we start to get into a little bit longer number, and it's also a decimal number starting out. So you're going to see we might need to use a negative exponent, because remember, decimals are smaller. Those entail negative exponents. So here we go. We have 0.006009. Okay, that's a pretty decent number. It's got a lot of zeros. I would get confused pretty quickly. So we want to write this in scientific notation. I have to move my decimal over to here because I need to get to the first number that's between 1 and 10. That's where my decimal goes. So in this case, I'm going to rewrite it as 6.009. Do you see how I did that? I just simply moved my decimal over to here. That gave me the same number. But because I moved my decimal over, I need to figure out is my exponent positive or negative? I'll give you a tip and just a little thing you can write down and remember. If the number starts out as a decimal number, it's going to be a negative exponent. Why is that? Let me show you. How many spaces do I have to move this decimal to get back to my original number? Remember, this is an abbreviation for this number. It is equal to this number. So how do I get back to it? I simply count how many spots I would have to go. Now, I don't have any numbers here, so I'm going to add these little zeros because I see there was 3 zeros in the original. How many spots was it to get it back here? 1, 2, 3. Because in my original number, you know what, I'm going to make that a different color for you. In my original number, my decimal was right here. See that? So now I had 0.006009, 0.006009 times, how many times did we move that thing? 1, 2, 3. I told you if it was a decimal, it's a negative number. So that's a negative exponent. So my answer, just to rewrite it and clean it up, because I got some scribbles on there for you, my answer is simply 6.009 times 10 to the negative 3. Page 8, problem 1. 6.0 times 10 to the first power plus 9 times 10 to the first power. And you might say, I got to actually solve this? Remember, these are abbreviations of numbers. We can simplify them, we can work through them, and we just have numbers. That's all it is, and we're just simply adding. So this is really back to the basics. What does this mean? 10 times 1. Well, I know that a number times 10 simply adds a 0. So in this case, if I take this and I multiply it by 6, 10 times 6.0, what do I get? I actually just get 60, and I did that because that decimal just moved over one place. So that number right here is just 60. That's all it is. That's what that means. Plus, you could apply the exact same thinking, right? It was 6 times 10 to the 1. This one's 9 times 10 to the 1, so this one's just 90 because all I did was move my decimal over one place. That gave me a 0. That's 90. Oh my goodness, check this out. This is easy. 60 plus 90 is 150, right? That's 150, but I got to finish it up with scientific notation. I can't leave it alone as 150 because the whole activity here is to take it and practice converting into scientific notation. Remember what I said about scientific notation. I need to know where the decimal goes. It has to go a number between greater than 1, less than 10. This is 150. It's a lot bigger than 10. So I find the first whole number. I put my decimal right after it. So 1.50. But in order to get to 1.50, I had to do a times 10 to the power of something, right? How many places did I move this decimal to get here back to this number? So if I had 1.50 and I want to get back to 150, how many places do I move my decimal? 1, 2, 1, 2. and I moved it to right there. That number you can see would have been 150 if I moved the decimal. It's 2 places, therefore it's to the power of 10. So my answer is 1.50 times 10 to the power of 2. Now, some of you might say, you don't need that 0. It's not really doing anything. That's correct. You don't really need it. It's 1.5 times 10 to the power of 2. Okay, remember, scientific notation is just about shrinking down numbers into abbreviated form. Today we did understanding scientific notation. We did writing numbers in scientific notation, adding and subtracting in scientific notation, multiplying and dividing in scientific notation. It was grade 8, pages 7 through 9. I'm Mr. Ball. I hope you guys stay safe, healthy, and well. We miss you. We love you. We can't wait to see you soon. So remember to keep showing excellence in your attitude, actions, and achievement, and have a great day.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi team, I'm Mr. Chambers. I am a teacher in IPS at Edison School of the Arts in downtown Indy. I'm really excited about our first lesson because it is one of my favorite topics, active and passive voice. And this is one of the easiest ways to make your writing grade level, to bring it to grade level. So here we go, introduction. This is in your packet on page 9, and you want to use an active voice. So that is clear action. So if your subject is clearly tied to the verb or to the action, that means that you're using active voice and you're engaging your reader. So if you think about it, when you're active, you're really just on it. You're really in the moment and you're actively doing something. So here's an example, and this is under the introduction again on page 9. So Maddie won the all-around student achievement contest. And so what is Maddie doing? She's actually winning. It's past tense, but she is directly winning. Here's an example of passive voice. And this is again at the top of page 9. So something is done to the subject. The all-around student achievement contest was won by Maddie. So we have a new subject, but it is being won. It's not actually winning. So that is the difference. All right, team, let's jump into the guided practice. This is on the same page, page 9, and there are 8 of them. We'll kind of breeze through them just to give you an idea of how to do active and passive voice. We're going to learn a lot about Maddie. She's going to be, I think, one of our best friends by the end of this, and you'll find out that she's very talented. So Maddie is considered one of the best writers in school. So Maddie is considered. We really, for these directions, we want to find the simple subject, so the one noun or subject that is in the sentence, and then write P for passive or A for active. So Maddie is our simple subject, and so I think we could underline that at home. And then is considered. So is she actually considering, or are others considering her? I'm imagining you say others are considering her, so that makes it passive. So let's write a P next to it. All right, number 2, she writes amazing articles for the school newspaper. So I think we all know that she is the subject, the simple subject, and she's actually writing it. So that is active. So we're going to write an A next to that. All right, just a few more. Number 3. Her report, so again, we're still talking about Maddie, on ways to reduce waste in the cafeteria was chosen as Article of the Year. So Maddie is award-winning. This is actually pretty cool. So her report, the subject, and then it was chosen. Can a report choose itself? No. So that makes it passive. So we're going to write a P next to sentence 3. This year's spring play was also written by Maddie. So again, this is very similar to number 3. The spring play is the simple subject, and it was written. So it's not actively writing, it is passive. All right, just 4 more. Great job, team. Number 5, the 8th grader even excels in math and science. So I feel like Maddie is bragging now. But she is the 8th grader in this sentence, and we're going to underline that, 8th grader, as a simple subject. And she is excelling. So she is taking that action. This is an active sentence. Write A. Number 6, last year she received a chance to go to science camp in Washington, D.C. So again, the simple subject is she, and she received, it is past tense, but she is still taking that action. So she received, this is active. Number 7 and number 8, these are our last two under the guided practice. So camp applications were distributed to all students. I am betting that you know the answer to this because applications cannot distribute themselves. This is passive. And the applications themselves, that is our simple subject. Number 8, we're going to end with a fun one. Many students took advantage of the opportunity and applied. So much action in this sentence. The students is a simple subject, and they are not only taking advantage, but they're also applying. This is an active sentence. All right, to wrap up this lesson, we're going to start the independent practice. So on page 10, you have what are 4 numbers, and we're just going to do the first one together. And this is actually pretty interesting because it's asking us to take the active sentence, which is the way you want your writing, but to make it passive in this example. So we're going to keep the meaning. That's the only tricky part. We want to make sure the sentence has the same meaning in the answer choice that we choose. So number 1, the committee chose 3 students to attend science camp. Okay, so we're going to reference that as we look at these answers. So here are the 4 answers, A, B, C, and D. And it's sort of a fun way to go about this is to eliminate answers as we know they're not correct, and then we're left with the right one. So A, science camp was chosen for 3 students to attend. All right, so I think what we really want to do to start this, we know they're all past tense, but I'm going to circle 4 words that we really want to make sure are in the sentence. And that way we know that the meaning hasn't changed. So I actually ended up circling 5. But committee, students, attend, and science camp. So it looks like in A, science camp was chosen for 3 students to attend. But what word do you think is missing that changes the meaning? Good guess or good answer. Committee. So because we don't have the word committee, we don't know how they were chosen, and that changes the meaning. So I'm going to go ahead and cross out A and move to B. So in B, 3 students were chosen by the committee to attend science camp. So if we look at that, we have all the right words. It's in past tense. It seems to have the same meaning because we know the committee chose them. So I'm going to go ahead and star that one. That could be our answer. All right, C, science camp was chosen for 3 students by the committee. All right, so if we look at that first sentence, what is missing? This is a tricky one. It looks like attend is not part of this. So science camp was chosen for 3 students by the committee, but we don't know what they do. Did they just write an essay to the camp? Did they say something funny about it? We don't know that they actually attended it. So we're going to cross that out because that changes the meaning. All right, this is the hardest one of all. D, 3 students who attended science camp were chosen by the committee. So we have all the right words, right? So committee, we have science camp, we have attended, and we have students, 3 students, but we don't know that the fact that the committee chose them made sure they attended the science camp. So that's the only thing that's tricky about this, because it just says they attended and they were chosen, but did the committee choose them to make up a riddle, to enter a contest? We don't know. It just says they were chosen. So that, again, changes the meaning, and I'm going to cross it out. And we are left with B. 3 students were chosen by the committee to attend science camp. So I'm confident that you can answer the next 3 questions on page 10 on your own. And that is the end of the demonstration for lesson 1. I want you to know we all miss you, and we're thinking a lot about you at home. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi, I'm Mr. Chambers. I am a teacher in IPS at the Edison School of the Arts in downtown Indy. Today, I'm excited to talk about context clues, which is lesson 2 in your 8th grade packet. This is page 11. And so it's really exciting because these are detectives for our reading to really help us find out what something means if we were just really unsure. And so we'll talk a lot about how these context clues give us meaning or how they help point us toward an answer. But just in summary, they are words or phrases that give that meaning or define something. Maybe they show a contrast. Maybe they show an example. So they're usually in the same sentence area, really before that sentence or after the sentence or right next to the word we're trying to define. And as I sort of hinted at, there are 4 types of clues: definition, example, we might have a comparison, and then a contrast, so something that shows the opposite of something. So in your packet, you'll see in the introduction that there are these 4 areas defined in a great chart. And these signal words are like traffic lights. They really point out that this is something we can use to define an unknown word. So for example, for definition, you might see words like is, or, which is, means. And here's an example of that. So the land pulls in opposite directions along a fault, which is a crack in the Earth's crust. So we see is, and it literally is telling us that that is what a fault is. It's a crack. Example, for instance, such as. So these are words that maybe will tell us we're about to hear something that really demonstrates what something is. So geoscientists, such as geologists and seismologists, study earthquakes. So that really tells us that this field of geology, those are types of geologists or geoscientists. Comparison. So this is something we'll see like, similar, also, as well. This is really interesting because maybe it's giving us a larger example. It might be a little even easier to understand. So like a large earthquake, smaller seismic events may also be destructive. So when you think about the word seismic, and then you think, okay, it's like an earthquake, you can get an idea of what that means. Contrast, you might see words like but, or, yet, in spite of, however, whereas, although. So in spite of the chaos caused by an earthquake, order is eventually restored. So if you think about order, what's the opposite of that? What could chaos mean? If order means, neat, clean, orderly, chaos then would probably be messy, right? Out of order. Something that's really kind of the result of an earthquake. So this is the fun part at the end of your introduction. It just talks about how there are other ways to use context clues. And so it says, because this unknown word, which is actually a made-up word, just going to give you a hint, has the word the before it, it means that it's a noun. And because we say that scientists measure the unknown word, we know that it's probably something that's part of a scientific discovery or something they're doing through observation. All right, let's jump into the guided practice. And for this, we're going to use the whiteboard and kind of sketch some things out. And the paragraph you see at the bottom of page 11 is asking us to underline context clues and then write the meaning. So we're going to look at the first sentence. It says, before they strike land, tornadoes can often be detected as by Doppler radar, an electronic system that measures wind speeds. So it literally is just defining the word for us. So if we write it out, we could say, because it's asking you to do this on a separate piece of paper in your packet. So what if let's first underline that, an electronic system that measures wind speeds. And then I'm just going to say Doppler radar, we'll do number 1, is, we'll just say a system that measures wind. Just to shorten it a little bit. Okay, and then number 2, or the second part of that article, or the paragraph, we say a tornado begins when a wind system forms a huge vortex. This formation is similar to water swirling toward a drain. So I wonder where the context clue is. It's not in the same sentence, but as we talked about, it is right after. And this is a comparison. So if we say this formation is similar to water going down a drain, which we've all seen, we can sort of picture a vortex in a tornado. So we're going to write vortex, number 2, and we'll just say a formation, let's say a swirling formation. So I'm kind of shortening each one a little bit, summarizing. All right, 3 more examples, I think, in this paragraph. Yes. So this condition may trigger multiple tornadoes which may occur simultaneously or one after the other. So this is again an example of an example of a definition. So it's really just saying or one after the other. So we could write simultaneous or simultaneously and just say one after another. And then we'll also underline it in the paragraph. Okay, simultaneously, one after another. So it's sort of happening in a row. Like say you had multiple tornadoes, and one happened, and then 30 minutes later it happened another one. That would be a simultaneous sort of set of tornadoes. So I'm going to underline one or after the other. All right. Whereas many regions are fairly safe from tornadoes, others are susceptible to them. Okay, so that is a comparison, or actually it's a contrast, where it's saying whereas many regions are fairly safe, others are susceptible. So I'm going to underline whereas many regions are fairly safe from tornadoes. That would mean that, okay, if these are safe, susceptible means likely or open, exposed. So we're going to say susceptible well, let's just say open, exposed. All right, last one, and we'll put it at the top of the board. Communities in tornado-prone areas try to mitigate their risk. For instance, they establish public warning systems. So this is a great example of something that would be to mitigate. So I'm going to underline the last sentence. And if they're establishing a public warning system, that means they're safer, right? So then mitigate means you're probably lessening, like you're taking away risk. So let's say mitigate, lessen. Okay, great job with the guided practice. Let's do, like we did in lesson 1, let's do one example from the independent practice. And there are 4, but I know after we do this that you all can rock the rest of them. So this paragraph is really at the top, and it's asking us to just read it and use it to answer these context clues. And we'll do that by eliminating these answer choices as we go through, so we're left with the right answer. So we're just going to read the first sentence because that's all we need for question 1. The wind velocity or speed of motion in a violent tornado can reach 300 miles per hour. That sounds actually really scary. Okay, so then number 1 says, what does the word velocity mean in the paragraph? So is it A, position? So if we look at this, we say, is velocity, it really is just a definition, the context clue, velocity or speed of motion. So it doesn't say anything about position. So I'm going to go ahead and eliminate that. Okay, is it a change in direction? So if we look back, we have velocity or speed of motion. Let's underline that. And I don't see anything about direction. So I'm going to cross that out. All right, could it be swiftness? C. So the wind velocity or speed of motion? Yes, maybe. Speed is very similar to swift. So let's star that. That could be our answer. Could be a great choice. And then what about D? It says size of something. So the wind velocity or speed of something, speed of motion, it doesn't talk about size. So I'm going to cross that out. All right, so we've eliminated really everything except C, and I'm going to circle that. That is our answer. So velocity can also be described as a swiftness of motion or speed of motion. All right, so now you have 3 more to do. You can do that easily, I'm confident. And that is the end of lesson 2. I will just tell you that we miss you all, and we hope to see you soon. I hope everything is going well at home, and stay safe.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
I'm Jackie Nisis, and I will be one of your virtual learning teachers for this virtual learning experience. I've had over 12 years of experience in education, and the majority of that time was spent in both middle and high schools. Let's look at our materials for today. So we're going to look at our core text, Claudette Colvin, Twice Towards Justice. If you have this text in a paper copy, great, refer to that often. If you don't have that in a paper copy, that's okay too, because I will be reading some of the text, and we also have an audio file available in one of the resource folders that you can refer to, and that way you can listen and re-listen as we work through our module. The other thing I want you to make sure that you have access to is a digital space to record your notes, or if you have a notebook and paper. Take a moment and date your notes, whether that be virtual or paper, and with today's date, and give it a heading. So today's heading, for example, could be M4L1, thinking about that as Module 4, Lesson 1. And I want to let you know that we are going to be reading Claudette Colvin, Twice Towards Justice. I want to take a moment to acknowledge that some of the content and language, more specifically the racially charged language that we will come across in the book, may cause you to feel uncomfortable. At Great Minds, we believe that reading books, stories, informational texts gives you a safe way to experience complex emotions. As we engage in this module, it's going to be important to be mindful that our core text is a nonfiction book by Philip Hose, recounting the experience of Claudette Colvin in Montgomery, Alabama during the Civil Rights Movement. I know that lessons throughout the module are absolutely going to engage you, but as we discover some emotionally charged events, concepts, and ideas, we also may be challenged to confront facts and ideas which will be unsettling. Some of them may even invite us to challenge some of our own personal ideas and opinions. Please know, as we navigate the lessons, we will discuss topics in a meaningful way within the context of this module and essential question. You will often be prompted to stop, think, and reflect, and if you can, it may be very helpful to process some of this information with a family member or a classmate or friend. Our goal, my goal, is to help you understand and articulate your own views and thoughts, as well as others that you may have heard, as we consider how people affect social change. So let's dive in. Chapter 1, Paragraph 1. If you're following along, I'm on page 3. Claudette Colvin. I was about 4 years old the first time I ever saw what happened when you acted up to whites. I was standing in line at the general store when this little white boy cut in front of me. Then, some older white kids came in through the door and started laughing. I turned around to see what they were laughing at. They were pointing at me. The little white boy said, let me see too." For some reason, they all wanted to see my hands. I held my hands up, palms out, and he put his hands up against my hands, touched them. The older kids doubled up laughing. My mother saw us, and when she saw that the boy's mother was watching, then my mom came straight across the room, raised her hand, and gave me a backhand slap across my face. I burst into tears. She said, "Don't you know you're not supposed to touch them?" The white boy's mother nodded at my mom and said, "That's right, Mary. That's how I learned I should never touch another white person again." Take a moment. What do you notice and wonder about Claudette's opening story? Here are some things that I noticed. I noticed injustice. I noticed that there are some intense emotions. I notice that in the opening of the chapter, it's told from Claudette's point of view. I also wonder why the white boy was not punished. I want to know what made the boys act so cruelly. I also wonder who Claudette Colvin is and why there's a whole book about her. I'm going to continue reading. I'm at the bottom of page 3, again, if you'd like to follow along. If, like Claudette Colvin, you grew up Black in Central Alabama during the 1940s and 1950s, Jim Crow controlled your life from womb to tomb. Black and white babies were born in separate hospitals, lived their adult lives apart from one another, and were buried in separate cemeteries. The races were segregated by a dense, carefully woven web of laws, signs, partitions, arrows, ordinances, unequal opportunities, rules, insults, threats, and customs, often backed up by violence. Together, the whole system of racial segregation was known as Jim Crow. Jim Crow's job was not only to separate the races, but to keep blacks poor. In 1950, nearly 3 in 5 black women in Montgomery, Alabama's capital city, worked as maids for white families, and almost 3/4 of employed black men mowed lawns and did other kinds of unskilled labor. The average black worker made about half as much money as the average white. The only professional jobs open to blacks were pastoring a black church and school teaching, which was open because of segregated schools, recalled the Reverend Ralph Abernathy, the minister of the First Baptist Church in Montgomery during the 1950s. Jim Crow kept blacks and whites from learning together, playing or eating meals together, working or riding buses or trains together, worshiping with one another, even going up and down in the same elevator or throwing a ball back and forth in the same park. Black and white citizens drank water from separate fountains and used different bathrooms. They were forbidden to play sports on the same team, marry one another, or swim together in the same pool. What do you notice and wonder about life during Jim Crow? Take a moment and reflect on the text we just read together. If you need to, go ahead and pause your screen and hit play when you're ready. Okay, I'm going to draw your attention to the text box at the bottom of page 4. As you can see, this text box is created as a text feature within the text. We're going to draw our attention to that text feature. While we're reading this, I want you to think about Jim Crow and what connections you can make. Between the 1830s and the 1950s, minstrel shows starred white performers who smeared burnt cork on their faces and ridiculed African American life. Thomas "Daddy" Rice is credited with popularizing minstrel shows with the song "Jump Jim Crow," which he said he heard from a black singer. After the sheet music sold widely, Jim Crow became a standard character in minstrel shows and then evolved into a term to represent the whole system of laws and customs that segregated black and white Americans. Take a moment and add the word segregation to your notes as a vocabulary word. Okay, if you need a little bit more additional time, go ahead and pause the screen and add that to your notes. Think about this. Think about the fact that segregation means legal forced separation of people or communities based on a race. When we think about this, I want you to think about the work that we're going to do to understand Jim Crow and segregation, and we're going to dive into this more and more as our lessons progress. Okay. Now what I'm going to ask that you do is create a T-chart in your notes, another Notice and Wonder T-chart that we're going to use with the idea of what do you notice and wonder about Claudette Colvin, Twice Towards Justice. Once you have this T-chart created, I want you to make sure that you have access to the text or audio file. It is going to be your duty for the next however long to listen to the remainder of chapter 1 and fill out that T-chart. As you listen or read, think about what you notice and wonder about our core text, Claudette Colvin, Twice Towards Justice.
You're watching MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23, a free educational service provided by Circle City Broadcasting of Indianapolis. Here's what's coming up this hour. Get more information, special announcements, and weekly program schedules online at wishtv.com. And be sure to follow us on Facebook. Here's what's coming up next.
All right, good morning IPS families and all home learners able to join me today. My name is Sarah Couch and I will be joining you on a journey through our emotions today. We're going to be working on understanding emotions. If you think about if you have a baby at home, or if you remember, your time as a baby or being around a baby, we're always trying to teach babies words for things, right? We're like bottle, banana, apple, car, right? Because babies only learn words when we give them exact descriptions and things to represent what those words are. Same thing with emotions, right? They're harder to see, right? Because they're inside us. But when we can label them, we are better able to understand them. And then when we're better able to understand them, we can help ourselves with working through and supporting ourselves how we need. So if you guys remember, back in 2015, there was a movie called Inside Out that came out, and it described 5 core emotions inside a girl named Riley. Riley moved across country, and she was feeling quite a bit of emotions, because if you don't know, you can feel many emotions at the same time. And Riley, she worked really hard to try and be happy for her parents, and her emotion, joy, kept trying to take over everything in the story. Well, Riley was actually sad too, and her sadness kept trying to just exist. And her joy worked really hard to try and make sadness not exist, but it didn't work. So the lesson that we really learned from that movie is that all of our emotions deserve their space, right? We all have emotions. It's what makes us human. And we're really, really important to recognize and let them have their space when needed. On the screen, you'll see this wheel of emotions, and you'll see a lot of different words. And that helps you learn that there are many, many different types of emotions that we have in the English language. But all of them dwindle down to a couple of what we call core emotions. And in the wheel that I have for you today, there are 7. There is love, fear, anger, sadness, happiness, surprise, and disgust. Okay, so I'm going to go through with you. We're going to look at some pictures of some facial expressions, and we're going to talk about what those faces look like when they feel those emotions. And then we'll practice by labeling these guys' faces at the end. So first we're going to start with love. So kids, when you look at this face, what do you see? You might see a big smile. Your eyes look happy. Your eyebrows are raised. You're nice and relaxed. Let's go ahead and stop over to fear. So when you watch those haunted house videos of the people going through the haunted houses and they get really, really scared and you're dying laughing, you look at their faces, right? What do their faces look like? They have those big eyebrows nice and raised. Their mouths are open. Their body is normally like in a kind of defensive pose, right? Fear can look like that. Fear can also, not be as pronounced. You can, kind of shake in your seat and, like watching a scary movie, hiding behind a blanket, right? So fear can look a lot of different ways as well. All right, so anger. Anger is one that I'm sure all of you are familiar with, and you might be aware of what it looks like, because sometimes people get so angry that they physically like throw something, maybe hit something, because they are so angry. But even before you get to that point where you start to move your body, your face can show that you're angry. Normally your eyebrows furrow, they come together really close right here, and your mouth gets really rigid. And if you're yelling, your mouth's still rigid, but you're just, so mad, right? Sadness, right? Remember the babies at home? If anybody's got a baby, you guys know that sadness face, that lip comes out. They want whatever they want, and you're not giving it to them, and they're so sad and upset about it. Their eyebrows drop on the sides, right? And adults still pout. Don't, don't believe that just because you're a baby, you stop pouting. All right, so surprise is gonna look very, very similar to fear, and it's all about context, people, and sometimes you can be surprised and afraid at the same time. Your eyebrows get big, your mouth gets open, you're like, oh my gosh, I just got this brand new game, and it's the best game ever, and I'm so happy that I got it, right? So now we have disgust, okay? The only way I can think about this is it reminds me of the show, the movie Inside Out, and she got a broccoli pizza, right? A pizza with broccoli on it, and her face that she made, I'll kind of think of what's something I don't like to eat. I don't know, I like a lot of food, so maybe a bad smell. Ooh, spoiled milk, that's a rotten smell. You see how my face cringed up, my eyebrows got together, my nose scrunched, my mouth pursed up, right? It's just, ugh, so gross. Okay, so, and remember that all of those emotions, those are just core ones. There are vastly, vastly different amounts of emotions that you can feel, and you can feel them all at the same time, and it can be really overwhelming. And so one of the first things we can do is to work to practice understanding what those different emotions are, and some of that is learning the vocabulary like we do with every subject, right? So we have love, fear, we have sadness, anger, disgust. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, and what's the 7th one, guys? Let me check. Fear. Okay, so love, fear, anger, sadness. Oh, I forgot happiness. How could I forget that? I guess it's just so close to love. Right? So let's try and label these faces. So what could this guy look like? Right? He's got the open grin. He might have some teeth showing if he was an actual face. And he's got, you know, he doesn't have eyebrows, but he has some pretty good eyebrows now. So, you know, what do you think he's feeling? Could be a couple of things. I wouldn't think fear, right? He doesn't look like he's scared of whatever he's looking at. He doesn't look like he's disgusted. I would think happiness or love. Let's go ahead and put love, just because that one's so nice. All right. What about this guy down here? He is not too certain about whatever he's looking at. He kind of looks like me when I'm up on a really tall building and I'm kind of really nervous and maybe a little fear, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys are a lot braver than me, but whew, boy. Okay, so this guy, he's got those eyebrows coming together. His mouth is pursed. He does not look happy, does he? What does he look? Anger or disgust? What do you guys think? I don't really think, is this the face you make when you have, well, maybe when you've like burnt your chicken or something, but I think that's more out of anger than disgust at that point, right? All right, and this guy, whoa, he's got those, here, he's got big, oh, look, those eyebrows changed his face completely. Let me erase them, because it defeated the purpose of what I was trying to do. So, that guy, he's got that big open mouth. You can't, here, let's try these. You can't even see his eyebrows. They're almost off his face entirely. That looks so much better. All right, he looks like he either got startled by something, somebody jumped out in front of him, or he just found like the last cookie in the cookie jar, right? So he could either be, you know, fear or surprise. But since we already have fear on here, right, let's go ahead and make him surprise. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. Hopefully we'll be able to continue this conversation on understanding our emotions so we can help ourselves, especially during right now. Make sure to reach out to others and let everybody know that supports you, how you're really feeling. And remember that it's okay to feel all of these feelings, right? Sometimes we're happy with being able to stay home and not having to come into school, right? But sometimes we're a little angry about it, right? We're surprised that it closed down at all, and we're a little afraid of what's going to happen. But just know that IPS is here for you, and we're going to do everything we can to help you out. Thank you.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Good morning, it's Miss Woods. I hope you guys are doing well. This is the Reading Interventionist. We are going to work through our Haggerty Phonics lesson today. So just follow along with what I do. We're going to start with me saying a word, or I'm going to say two other words. You tell me which word rhymes out of those two, okay? So if I say slab, which word rhymes with slab? Crab, glass. Crab, that's right. If I say dream, which word rhymes with dream? Drain, steam. Steam, that's right. Which word rhymes with gloss? Floss, glue. Floss, very good. See if you can do it faster than me. Which word rhymes with bring? Swing, please. Swing. Last one, which word rhymes with snake? Snow, flake. Flake, very good. All right, we're gonna listen to the first sound now of two words, and both of these words have a consonant blend. So I'm looking at two sounds at the beginning. So if I say front, frozen, what do we hear at the beginning of front and frozen? I hear fur, the FR blend. Say clever, clumsy. What do we hear at the beginning of those two? Cool, I hear the CL blend. Say plenty, plastic. What do I hear at the beginning of those two? Pull, hear the PL blend. Say drama, drizzle. What do I hear at the beginning of those two? Drr. Two more. Say skeleton, skinny. What do I hear at the beginning of that? Sk, sk. Very good. Last one. Say pretzel, pretty. What do I hear at the beginning of those two? Purr. Hear that PR blend. All right, now we're gonna do some blending. I'm gonna give you the sounds. You tell me what word I've created, okay? So great makes the word great. Awesome job. Swipe, swipe. See if you can do it faster than me. Plug, plug. Ready? Next one. App, trap. Snow, snow. Few more. Block, block. Stem, stem. Couple more. Green, green. Flip, flip. Last one. Smudge, smudge. Very good. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on the CH digraph. Remember, CH makes the ch sound. I want you to see if you can tell me where you hear the ch sound in the word. Okay, so I'm gonna say the word. Think, do I hear it at the beginning, the middle, or the end? Okay, so if I say the word chart, where do I hear the ch sound? I hear it at the ch very beginning. Ch-art, chart. Say reach. Where do I hear that ch sound in reach? I hear it at the very end. Say stretch. Where do I hear the ch sound? I hear it at the end. Say chalk. Where do I hear the ch sound in chalk? I heard it at the very beginning. Don't let me trick you on this one. Say speechless. Where do I hear the ch in speechless? I heard it in the middle of that word. Last one, where do we hear it in match? So say match. Where do I hear the ch sound? I heard it all the way at the end. Very good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to segment a word. I'll give you the word. I want you now to break it apart into its different sounds. So say gross. Break it down. G-r-o-s. Very good. Say snack. Break it down. S-n-a-k. Say breeze. Break it down. B-r-e-z. Very good. Say drum. Break it down. D-r-a-m. See if you can do it faster than me now. Say sled. Break it down. S-o-e-d. Say trick. Break it down. T-r-i-k. Say stop. Break it down. S-t-op. Got 3 more. Say flame. Break it down. F-o-a-m. Last 2. Say bright. Break it down. B-r-i-t. Last one. Say snooze. Break it down. S-n-oo-z. Very good. All right, now we're going to work into adding at the beginning. I'm going to give you the word or the word part. You're going to add to the beginning and you tell me what word that we've created. So I'm going to say the word red, add b at the beginning, and my new word is bread. Okay? Say rend, add f at the beginning, and my word is friend. Say rill, add d at the beginning, and the word is drill. Say wrap, add t at the beginning, and the word is trap. Last one, say rand, add g at the beginning, and the word is grand. Very good. Now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to delete that first sound away. So I'm pulling apart that consonant blend. So say the word slack, take away s, and I'm left with lack. Very good. Say drum, take away d, and I'm left with rum. See if you can get it faster than me. Say crush, take away k, and I'm left with rush. Say crash, take away k, and I'm left with rash. Last one, say brand, take away b, and I'm left with rand. Very good. Last one we're going to do is we're going to just change out that first sound. And because we're kind of doing consonant blends, I'm going to switch out the entire blend, okay? So say clock, take away cool, put up full. My word is flock. Very good. Say group, take away gur, put up sk. My word is scoop. 3 more. Say stew, take away st, put up bull. My word is blue. Say trace, take away tur, put up sp. My word is space. Last one. Say play, take away pull, put up st. My word is stay. Very good job. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care, stay safe. We love you and miss you.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hello, boys and girls. and parents, if you're joining us again. Today we're going to read another informational text together. Today's text is going to be about ants, so we're going to be doing animals again. And the main thing we want to work on again today is we're going to look at the main topic or the main idea of the text. And before we begin, parents, if you're with your children, you might want to flip to page 29. We're going to talk about what the main topic is again. The main topic, remember, is what a book or part of a book is all about, what the main idea is. When you're reading or listening to an information book, there are a couple questions you should ask yourself. The first is, what is this book all about? And the second is, what are the key details in this book or in this reading? The main topic is what the key details are all about. And remember, I gave you a tip last time. Try to pay attention to the things in the story that are mentioned maybe only once or twice, and the things that are mentioned over and over again, because things that are mentioned many times in a story usually have something to do with the main topic or the main idea. So, now that we've covered that, why don't we go to today's reading in your packet. That is going to be on page 38 today. Today we're going to be reading Ant City. Would you look down or up to find a city of ants? I know for me, here in our city, I'd look down on the ground. In the rainforest, look up. An ant city might be in the trees. Weaver ants build nests in trees. A nest can be as big as a soccer ball. An ant city might have 100 nests. 500,000 tiny weaver ants might live there. And to give you an idea of how many 500,000 is, that's about how many people live in our city, Indianapolis. So if you turned all the people in our city and turned them into little ants, that might be how many ants live in a weaver ant city. If you look at the picture at the bottom of page 39, you'll see those two little balls there that look like balls of folded over leaves. There are 2 weaver ant nests in that tree. Weaver ants work in teams to build nests. The worker ants pull leaves together. If you look at the picture, you can see down in the picture that there are, looks like 5 or 6 ants in the picture are pulling the leaves together. They use their mouths and legs. The ants are strong. If you look at the picture again, down below the picture it says, a team of ants works together. If a leaf is too far away, the ants crawl over each other. Each ant grabs the middle of another ant. They hold each other up. It's an ant chain. That's pretty crazy. You know how chain links go together and you get a long chain that you can make out of paper or metal? The ants make a chain out of themselves. Crazy. More ants go across the chain to get to the next leaf. Then the ants pull the 2 leaves together. And you can see in the picture, the ants are making an ant chain. Now, the worker ants wait. They need help. Soon, other ants come. They bring worms that have hatched from ant eggs. Each ant taps and squeezes its worm. The worm makes sticky spit. Oh, yuck. The spit, though, is like glue. It sticks the leaves together. Leaves and spit make a good nest. You can see in the picture there's a close-up of an ant squeezing the worm to make the spit come out. Each nest is part of a whole city of ants. The ants build an ant city in the trees. You can see the picture. In this picture, you can actually see the ants crawling around on top of the leaves, and down below it says, "Weaver ants work together." So, now, let's answer some questions about this reading. Question 1. If you need help finding the answer to this question, if you don't remember, page 1 of the passage, which is page 39 of the reading, will have some clues for you. Where do weaver ants build their nests? A, in the city. B, in the trees. C, on the ground. Question 2. You can see that this question has pictures for answer choices. Which picture shows how many weaver ants work on a nest? Picture A, I think I can see 2 ants in this picture. Picture B, I think I see 1 ant in that picture. Picture C, I can't even count how many ants. Many ants are in picture C. If you need help remembering that one, try page 2 of the passage, page 40 of the packet. Question 3. What do weaver ants need to make their nests? A, that looks like a bundle of sticks. B, that looks like some leaves. And C, I think maybe that's straw. If you need help with that one, page 2 of the passage, page 40 of the packet. Question 4. Why do ants build an ant chain? A, so they can get stronger. B, so they can reach leaves. C, so they can climb a tree. If you have trouble remembering that one, look on page 3 of the passage, page 41 of the packet. Question 5. What do the ants get from the hatched eggs? A, birds. B, worms. C, leaves. Page 4 of the passage, page 42 of the packet, if you need help. Question 6. What do the ants do with the worm spit? A, the ants clean the eggs with worm spit. B, the ants stick leaves together with the worm spit. C, the ants build an ant chain with worm spit. Question 7. Look at the photo. What does it show? Okay, our photo is on the next page, so we're going to flip it over here. Remember, the question is, what does the photo show? Our choices are A, an egg. B, a nest. C, a city. Question 8. What is this text mostly about? Now again, I'm going to remind you again here. Think about what things in the story were mentioned only 1 or 2 times and what things were mentioned over and over. That will probably give you a good hint to finding what the main topic is. Here are your choices. A, weaver ants are strong ants in the rainforest. B, weaver ants protect the eggs in their nest. C, weaver ants work as a team to build their nest. Parents, if you're wanting access to the answers to help your children, you can find those on page 8 of the iReady packet. Boys and girls, that's it for today's reading. Thanks for joining me again today. And again, stay safe, help your families, and read as many stories as you can.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hello, my name is Jill Miller, and I'm here to teach you first grade reading lesson 3, and that's starting on page 27 in your packet, and we are going to go to page 36 today. So today's lesson is the reading strategy we're going to be working on is asking questions. So when we read fiction and nonfiction, a good strategy to use is to ask yourself some questions. So to find out the key detail, which is a very important piece of information while you're reading, asking and answering questions can help you find those key details. Here is how you find some key details. Ask a question. Begin the question with one of these words. So here are some questions. Who? Who you're going to answer with a person. What is a thing or an action? When is a time? Where is a place? How is the way something is or the way something happens? And why is the reason? So this is a strategy, and these are the question words to help you while you're reading. Another strategy is to look for the answers to your questions in the words and in the text features. So to review with you some text features, and I've highlighted the ones that we are going to see today in the story we're going to read. Captions are words near a picture or a photograph to help readers better understand it. Special print is when a word is bold or in italics or underline. It is an important word for readers to know. Also, subtitles are special headings that help readers know what the next section of the text will be about. So again, we're going to be using text features. Text features help organize our information in the book so you know what's important. So today we are going to read a story starting on page 28. The title of our story is Drip Drop, Roots on Top by Kimberly Feltz Taylor. I'm going to read the story with you today. So if you would like to read along, I would love that, but I will be reading as well. Page 29 of your packet. You are in a rainforest. The air is warm. Rain falls hard and fast. Soon the rain stops, but the air still feels wet. Will it rain again? Yes, it will. This is the life of a rainforest. Now, if you can see, there is a picture in your packet with the caption, "A rainy day in a rainforest." So it's describing to us what is happening in that picture. Next page. Drip, tips, and raincoats. That, what we just saw, drip tips and raincoats, is a subtitle. Remember that the subtitles are a special heading that help you know what the next section will be about. So we know we're going to be reading about drip tips and raincoats. Have you ever been soaked by the rain? Your clothes get wet. You need to dry off. Plants need to dry off too. Plants can die if they get too much rain. Drip tips can help. A drip tip is a pointy end of a leaf. Rain drips off the pointy end, the pointy part. The leaf dries off. So there's a picture in your packet of a drip tip with it raining. So when the raindrops fall on this leaf, it just drips off. So that is why it is called a drip tip. Next page, page 31. You can wear a raincoat to stay dry. Some plants' leaves make a waxy coating. This coating is like a raincoat. It stops water from soaking into the leaf. Splat, 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 rain falls. The drops roll across the smooth, shiny coating. They slip and slide off the leaf. The leaf dries off. So there's a picture at the bottom of page 31 showing you raindrops rolling off a waxy coating. Page 32. There's another subtitle, Roots Get Food. As a reader, I'm going to think about what I'm going to read about based on that. Roots get food. So I'm thinking this is going to be about how the trees receive their food through the roots. Many plants have roots below the ground. The roots grow far down. They are hard to see. The roots absorb or soak up food from the soil. The food is from dead plants and insects. The dead things fall apart and sink deep into the soil. And the picture on page 32 shows a tree with the roots below the ground. Next page, page 33. In a rainforest, roots peek out of the dirt. Some roots even stay above the ground. Why? There's a question. Why? Remember, when we answer the question why, we're going to be giving a reason. So let's read on to see if we can find out the reason some roots stay above ground. Roots stay on or near the top because the food is there. Dead plants and bugs wash away before they can sink into the soil. Roots need to stay on top of the soil so they can absorb the food. So on page 33 of your packet, you see a tree with the roots above the ground. Next page, page 34. You guys are doing great. Stay with me. Trees and plants live with a lot of rain in the rainforest. Plants stay dry with drip tips and waxy coatings. Roots soak up food before it washes away. Plants and trees survive in their rainy rainforest home. And then there's a picture on page 34 of plants and trees in a rainforest. So that is our story that we're going to read today. And now we have some questions to answer. If you look in your packet on page 35, we're going to start with question 1. Which picture shows what the weather is like in a rainforest? Picture A is showing ice on the tree, icicles. Picture B is showing a dry area. And picture C is showing a picture of it raining. So which picture shows the weather, what the weather is like in the rainforest? I know you got the right one. Question 2. Which sentence tells how drip tips help a plant? Is it A, drip tips help rain soak the leaf? B, drip tips are pointy ends of a leaf? But remember, we're trying to answer how drip tips help a plant. Or is it C, drip tips help water fall off the leaf? Go ahead and mark your answer, A, B, or C. Question 3. How do a leaf's coating and tip help the plant survive in the rain? Is it A, they dry off the plant? B, they slip and slide off the leaf? Or C, they stop rain from falling on the plant? Go ahead and mark your answer. Question 4. What does the word absorb mean? Now that text feature was the special print in our story. That word was in a bold, dark letters. So on page 32, it says, the roots absorb or soak up food from the soil. So that gives me an idea. Absorb, soak up. So back to the question. What does the word absorb mean? A, fall apart. B, grow down. Or C, take in. Question 5. Why do roots grow above the ground in the rainforest? We're going to complete the sentence. Roots above the ground can get food before blank moves away. A, roots above the ground can get food before the soil moves away. B, roots above the ground can get food before a forest moves away. Or C, the rain. Roots above the ground can get food before the rain moves away. Go ahead and mark your answer. You're doing great, first graders. Question 6. How do roots on top help a plant survive in the rain? Roots on top. So this was when they were talking about the roots on top of the ground. So how do roots on top help a plant survive in the rain? A, they get food deep in the soil. B, they wash away with the rain. Or C, they absorb food on the ground. So that is the end of our lesson today. You guys did a fantastic job following along with me. And I want you to know you are truly missed by all of your teachers, and we can't wait to see you again. Sending you a big hug. Bye-bye.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
This is Miller, and today I'm going to be teaching first grade reading lesson 4. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's reading strategy we're going to work on is asking questions while you read. Today's story is nonfiction. It is an informational text. So when we use that reading strategy, asking questions, we are trying to find key details about what we are reading about. So a key detail is an important piece of information. Asking and answering questions can help you find key details while you're reading. Here is how you find key details. You ask a question. Begin the question with one of these words. Who? Who you would answer with a person. What is a thing or an action? When is a time? Where is a place? How is the way something is or the way that something happens? And why is the reason? So, you're also going to look for answers to your questions. You can find those in the words of the story, but also in the text features. Let's review what text features. I've highlighted the ones that we're going to see in our story today. A text feature helps organize information in the book so you know what's important. So you are going to see captions today in our book. Captions are words near a picture or photograph to help readers better understand it. Special print. When a word is bold or in italics or underlined, it is an important word for readers to know. And subtitles. We'll see some subtitles today. Subtitles are special headings that help readers know what the next section of the text will be about. So we're going to be asking questions today and looking for these text features to help give us some key details about what we are going to read. So today's story is going to start in your packet on page 37. The story's title is A Plant's Beast Feast by Melissa Carroll. Let me read that title one more time. A Plant's Beast Feast. Do you notice anything about some of those words in this title? Beast, feast. Who got it? It rhymes. You're right. Those two words rhyme. Great job. Let's start reading, and if you want to read with me, I would love that. So let's get our pointers ready. Can everybody put their pointer finger up? And like a helicopter, start turning it around, and let's bring it down to the first word on page 38. Ready? Get it ready. And down. We're going to read along together, so I want to hear your voices too. Ready? Many animals eat plants. And guess what? Some plants eat animals. The pitcher plant does this. It kills and eats bugs for food. This plant lives in warm, rainy forest. It has a leaf that is shaped like a pitcher. The plant catches bugs in this special leaf. And if you can look at the picture on page 38, oh, there's a caption. It tells us colorful leaves with a pitcher shape. So you can see in that picture some pitcher plants. I brought along with me today a pitcher because that's what this plant is called. Just like we know a pitcher is something that we put our drinks in. So you might have made some Kool-Aid or some lemonade in your pitcher. So this plant is shaped like a pitcher. So that's why it's called a pitcher plant. And it catches food to eat in its pitcher. Let's keep reading to find out more. Bringing in bugs. Ready to read? Is your pointer ready? Pitcher plants get bugs to come to them. The plants can be orange, pink, or red. Bugs like bright colors. They go to the plants because these colors attract them. In the picture, you can see an ant on a bright plant. So the colors are what is attracting those bugs to the pitcher plant. Next page, page 40. Some pitcher plants are dark green or brown. These plants have a different way to bring in bugs. The plants have a smell. Bugs follow the smell and they go to the plant. So in the picture with the caption, you see a fly on a smelly pitcher plant. So we know since it's smelly, that plant must be dark green or brown. Eating bugs. Oh, that is a subtitle, Eating Bugs. That is going to tell us what the next section is about. I'm wondering if this section is going to be about how pitcher plants eat bugs. Let's read to find out. The bug lands on the plant. Pitcher plants have a special outside. The bug cannot hold on tight. It goes down inside the plant. So on page 41, the picture, the caption is telling us and showing us how bugs are slipping into a pitcher plant. Next page, page 42. You guys are doing a great job. Keep it up. The plant is wet inside. It is so wet that the bugs fall apart. It breaks into little bits. The plant takes in these parts of the bug. That is how a pitcher plant eats a bug. So bugs in the wet inside of a pitcher plant. You can see those bugs inside. Next page, page 43. A mouse or a frog can fall into a pitcher plant too. The plant eats the animals just like it eats a bug. A pitcher plant is always ready for its next meal. You can even see the caption to the picture is showing us a frog is in a pitcher plant. Next page, page 44. We are now ready to answer some questions about what we just read. So follow along and answer these questions with me. Question 1. What does a pitcher plant do with bugs? A, it feeds them to animals. B, it gives them a special leaf. Or C, it catches and eats them. Go ahead and mark your answer, A, B, or C. Question 2. How do bugs like pitcher plants? The plants have bright colors. The plants come to the bugs. Or C, the plants have ants on them. So why do bugs like pitcher plants? A, B, or C? Question 3. How do brown and green pitcher plants bring in bugs? Complete the sentence. Bugs like the blank of the pitcher plants. Bugs like the A, smell of the pitcher plants. B, bugs like the shape of the pitcher plants. Or C, bugs like the feel of the pitcher plants. Question 4. What happens when bugs sit on the plant? A, they fall down. B, they land nicely. Or C, they walk in. What happens when bugs sit on the plant? Mark your answer. Next page, page 45. Question 5. What happens after a bug falls into a pitcher plant? A, it makes the plant wet. B, it drinks. Or C, it breaks up. I think there was a picture about that in our story. See if you can remember. Question 6. How does the pitcher plant eat a bug? Complete the sentence. The plant blanks little bits of the bug. A, the plant mixes with little bits of the bug. B, the plant takes in little bits of the bug. Or C, the plant bites into little bits of the bug. Mark your answer. Last page. You guys are doing awesome. 2 more questions. Ready? Question 7, page 46. Which other animal might a pitcher plant eat? They have some pictures of some animals. A is a picture of a monkey. B is a picture of a mouse. And C is a picture of a fish. Which one of those animals might a pitcher plant eat? Mark your answer. The last question, question 8. How does the pitcher plant get food? Is it A, it catches bugs? B, it chases bugs? Or C, it falls on bugs? How does the pitcher plant get food? Mark your answer. And that, boys and girls, is the end of our lesson today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you are staying well and healthy. And please know that all your teachers miss you and can't wait to see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.
You've been watching MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23, a free educational service provided by Circle City Broadcasting of Indianapolis. MyIPS airs weekday mornings from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. For more information, special announcements, and the weekly program schedule, go to wishtv.com. You can also follow us on Facebook.